Alrighty, welcome to an on the road episode 154 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla is offering Cybertruck delivery event invitations as part of its North American Referral Awards program. At this stage, it is not yet known when these events will actually occur, although it is thought that they may be held in multiple locations, including Giga Austin. Tesla has opened its first version 4 supercharger site in the United Kingdom, which notably features an inbuilt casual credit card tap-and-go payment terminal. Although there are currently no V4 supercharger sites in Australia, it is believed that Tesla will also implement tap-and-go payment ability in any subsequently installed local sites. Tesla has opened up its Williams and Margaret River supercharger sites for all non-Tesla EVs to use. If used casually, these owners pay 78 cents per kilowatt hour, although this cost is reduced to 63 cents per kilowatt hour if they pay a $9.99 monthly subscription. And that was this week's news. Alrighty, and welcome to the program. I hope everyone could hear that properly. It's unfortunately, we're on the road. I'm in Strahan in the west coast of Tasmania. So last night I got to see the sunset over the hills, and today it was setting over the west coast, which is all is good in the world. Welcome everyone. If there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please feel free to unmute and introduce yourselves right now.
Hello, my name's Jonathan. I'm from Quairding in Western Australia. Can you hear me and can you see me?
No, I can't hear you, Jonathan, but I can see you. No, actually, it's the opposite of that. I can hear you, but we can't see you, but it's all good. Welcome, Jonathan.
Okay.
Tell us about your awesome Model Y, Model 3.
So no, we're driving a Model 3. We took delivery about a month ago and having great fun charging it up with solar panels in the back garden. And with that rig, we can drive from here to Perth, which is 2 hours away, and almost back.
Fantastic. And congratulations on your new purchase.
Thank you very much.
I think you'll find, like many people, the only regret you'll ever have about buying a Tesla is literally not doing it sooner. And yeah, but
no, I'm sure you're right. I asked myself, why did anyone ever drive petrol cars?
Indeed, absolutely. And welcome. And you're also free to ask any questions a little bit later on that you can think of. There are no silly questions. We all knew nothing about Teslas until we first researched it and got into them and drove them.
Lovely. Thanks very much. All right, well, I'll mute myself for now and listen, and I'll try and fiddle with the video to get that working.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully you'll have better luck with your technical issues than I've had today.
Cheers. No worries. Thank you.
And since we are recording, I'd just like to give a great shout out to Telstra. Thank you for providing me 4 bars of 4G, which is absolutely completely useless. And what I've had to resort to is a half-cut, hog-tied Starlink terminal mounted to the underneath glass roof of my Model Y, which is parked about 5 meters behind, well, in front of me, actually. In the car park, I've had to put the car on camp mode to hopefully make sure that the inverter stays running or the 12-volt output stays running. And we are literally running this show via Starlink. So thank you, Elon Musk, for not just producing awesome cars, but also producing awesome internet throughout the world that not even Telstra can provide in their own country. Anyway, rant over. Anyone else that is new, please do introduce yourselves.
There's a guy in the chat who doesn't have a microphone.
Oh, apologies. Welcome, Des. No problems, Des.
Take delivery of a Model Y.
Excellent. Congratulations. Now, that would be probably one of the 749 cars that were spotted at Fremantle Port 11 days ago. So congratulations. I hope it's going to be delivered soon. The great news is, don't fret it will guaranteed absolutely be delivered by the end of September, regardless, because that is Tesla's quarterly cutoff date. And they will pull out all the strings to make sure that they are delivered before then. But yeah, Des, welcome to the show, and congratulations on your impending delivery. Alrighty, anyone else that might be new and like to say hello? Nope, in the crowd roars. That's okay. Let's go to questions while I try and reconfigure a couple of things. Yeah, anyone like to ask a question to start us off, or a comment about the news?
I've got something, Harold. Just quickly.
Yes. Yes, Alex.
Touching on World EV Day for 2023. It's happening in Mandurah, of all places, down my neck of the woods. Right next to the Mandurah Cinemas. So it's Mandurah Square on the 9th of September. So if anyone wants to come by and say hi.
Fantastic. I think I'm going to have to send my early apologies because I won't be anywhere near there. But sounds awesome, Alex. And that's great that World EV Day is being held in Mandurah. That's a great thing.
And credit to Pred, organizer of the EV meets. He's doing a great job organising all that. So
Cool.
Jumped on board to help him out as well on that one. So I'll be there.
No worries. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Alex, is going to be a jumping castle?
I don't know if there's going to be a jumping castle, but I'm sure we can try and organise something.
Or there's something like that. It's good.
Got some popcorn. There's popcorn.
Ice cream. It's good.
Ice creams, yeah.
As long as you've got some popcorn left after watching a show like Ask Us Anything, because that sometimes requires some consumption of popcorn, especially later on in the show. All right.
Has anyone else got whiskey?
I certainly felt like some a little while ago. Anyone else got any questions or comments? I mean, look, Superchargers. Go on, go, Paul. You go.
No, I just had a PSA from. Today I got the tow bar on Ioni's car, so that's cool. The tech was just telling us about tire rotations and stuff like that. With the price difference and that sort of thing. So it was saying the price increase is if you have mobile service come out, and so it's like $100 fitted, for them to do the service. But if you go to the service center, then it's still the original $64 or something like that. So I think,
okay,
because there was something going around on Facebook, people bitching about, and I thought I should just let people know that if they want the cheaper price, go to the service center and get it done.
So it's $64.
I think,
at the service center.
And $100 if the mobile guy comes out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
and look,
next time just bring Nigel direct. So that way it just cuts out the Facebook thing. Just give him a call.
Okay. No worries.
Well, to be honest, if you think about it, they do have to drive to your place, which could take them half an hour. And then they've got to drive to another place, and that could take another half an hour. So,
and they don't have a hoist when they come to your house. So
exactly,
or a compressor.
Yeah.
Well, they probably do have a compressor, I suspect, in the Model S. But that's another story.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I take the car anywhere for a tyre rotation?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a
No.
and you can do it yourself, which I actually did 11 days ago. And you can do it with one jack. How
do you do that, Harold?
Well, you jack up the back part, and magically the front part lifts up too, because the car's so stiff. That
I don't just go and get Jack that lives over the back fence.
Even better, Michelle. That's a perfect suggestion.
It was good. It gave me an excuse to go and buy more power tools. So now I've got a Ryobi 1 Plus Impact. So except full disclosure, I actually bought it to undo a sump plug on a Mazda 3, but I then used it to do my tires. So it's good. And I remembered all the things I hate about not having an EV is you undo the sump plug on the Mazda 3 and pisses hot oil all over your face, and and you go, why am I doing this? So yeah, take it to a mechanic.
Yes, absolutely. Use Jack, not a Jack, just use Jack.
Back on topic, my brother in his Polestar is looking forward to driving to Margaret River on the weekend and paying Tesla to charge, because I think that will be quite a bit faster than using the RT50.
Yes, absolutely, and I do dare say a little bit more reliable.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's
So
awesome because. So go, Ken.
No, I was just going to say, yeah. So we'll have. I don't know. I know there's someone else I think who has already tried charging at Williams. There was something on PlugShare, but I was hoping to get a bit of feedback from Graham with his Polestar. We'll see how it charges. It should go great.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm going to welcome Charles from the future, as actually am I.
I was say, it's not that far in the future from you, is it?
And I'm not going to brag, but Chuck, do you remember a little conversation that we had last night? And I was talking about, you know how the price went up to 63 cents. And do you recall what my little theory of that was?
I think you said they're probably going to open it up soon to all EVs at some point in the future.
And less than 24 hours later, so
right.
they did, which was awesome. And look, it's
Yeah.
a great thing. It's so good because, yes, if you charge casually, it's going to cost you 78 cents per kilowatt hour. But if you pay the $9.99 membership fee, monthly membership fee, you'll get it for the same price as us Tesla owners or us non-legacy S and X Tesla owners that get it for free. But the thing is, you only have to turn over 66 kilowatt hours a month to break even. And it's just a walking billboard for Tesla. So every time a non-Tesla EV user goes to a supercharger, they're being, basically introduced into the Tesla ecosystem. And, it's a great thing. It really is.
We should mention it's not just Williams and Margaret River. There's another 28 odd charges being opened up around Australia.
Yeah, but who cares about those? They're not in Western Australia,
That's right. And in fact, I think technically, Pete, I think it's actually 25 because Tesla announced 30, but there were already 5 in New South Wales that were already opened. And so some of it's like sort of re-announcing that, which has already happened. But look, it's great. The anomaly I would suggest is perhaps Lancelin, because that's a V3 supercharger. And I don't see why they wouldn't have opened that in particular. Karrinyup makes sense because, look, Karrinyup, sadly, I think some Tesla owners use the Karrinyup supercharger as a convenient place to park while you're shopping because other bays might be occupied. And we've seen, unfortunately, some owners do silly things like not actually plug their car in and other things. But yeah, Lancelin, I think, is the anomaly. Eaton will never be opened up to everyone because it's a version 2 site, so it's just not compatible with. We're not easily compatible.
I don't know about that. There's V2 sites in Norway that are open to other chargers, to other vehicles.
But are they V2s, Ken, or charge?
Lots of the Aussie ones are as well.
Yeah, Bjorn Nyland has absolutely charged at V2 superchargers with other
apologies.
cars.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So no reason that Eaton couldn't get opened.
Rightio. Except I think Eaton is a little bit busy on occasion, so perhaps that's the rationale there. Don't know at this stage.
Yeah.
But look, let's
Charles is just saying, some of the New South Wales ones that opened early were V2s.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Okay. Fair enough.
I've just put a couple of maps in the chat.
Cool.
Yeah, I've just put a couple of maps in the chat. One of them is all of the open ones in Australia, and the second map is just the V3 open ones. So there's a bit of difference there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
none of the Tassie ones are open though.
No. It's funny. The ones they didn't open included the major highways, so Sydney and Melbourne and so on, and the ones in the urban centre. So same with Lanson.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Just because they're not in the country, and maybe they haven't got good enough Telstra coverage.
Just as I see, I'm looking down, because this is being locally recorded, so I can hear everything clearly. But yeah, I just saw my internet connection was unstable, and I got very worried just for a moment. But hopefully that was just a meteor passing in front of one of Starlink satellites, and not through it. But yeah, look, it makes sense for them to open up aggressively. You know, it's still Tesla's network, so they can pick and choose. But the fact they are opening up some sites, it's great. You know, Williams in particular, you know, we've had this before. A lot of Tesla owners would do a bit of price arbitrage and save the 3 cents per kilowatt hour and charge a WEV network charger just down the road. And of course, that meant that another non-Tesla EV couldn't charge there, and they couldn't charge at the supercharger. So now they've got the option. So, you know, and that's great. So let's hope there's more of it. And, you know, we obviously look forward to the impending Albany supercharger and, you know, Kojonup and others. So, yeah, let's bring it on.
Yeah, actually, Harold, when you say others, Pete Petrosky has opened up a new supercharger at his house. He's only charging $2.40 a kilowatt per charge. And, and you can get a monthly subscription for $29.95, but you get Netflix with that as well. So, just the one location, which is just south of Geraldton, which is a very popular location. Where Pete
It is absolutely. I dare say Pete probably lives north of Jurien Bay, so you know.
Exactly. So good location.
Absolutely.
Wendy Miller wanted to jump in with a question. Why don't you just go?
Oh yes, Wendy. Sorry, apologies.
What's your name first? It's not Wendy.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, no, I just saw you. I realised. Yes, go.
So my wife is Wendy. I'm Shane, and I haven't updated the name. Sorry about that.
All good.
So I've got a question on regen. Excuse me. So last Sunday, took some friends up. So we live in the Southeast Hills, Rollerstone area. We went about 8 k's up to what do you call it? Naked Apple. There for about 2 hours. The battery was on 85%. We'd been driving it through the day.
So what car? Which car have you got, Shane?
Sorry, a Model Y LFP.
Yes. Yep.
Sounds right.
So up there, it was at 85%. All good. Nice, beautiful day, 20 degrees. We left at probably 6 o'clock. Going down the hill back home, it's about 8 k's. The recharge was happening, or the regen, and it got to, got to 87%, and then it just said the regen wasn't available, or it said reduced. And it's done that a few times because we usually go to Rollerstone. It's our local sort of area. So you go up the hill, come down, and it'll recharge for about 1% or 2%, and then it just says regen limited. Is that normal or?
Well, yeah. So Shane, was this? So this is an LFP. So this is the standard range Model Y. So would this have been early in the morning, or sort of morning?
No, it was afternoon. It was like 3 o'clock, and it was about 20 degrees outside, ambient temperature.
Okay, and did you have little symbol that's a green symbol that sort of looks like a brake caliper, well, like a brake disc with a caliper, and it's green, and it basically indicates that it's simulating regen when regen is actually reduced.
Exactly. It said it came up with a message saying regen temporarily reduced. So
the most common. Okay, so and you said it was 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was about 20 degrees. It was a beautiful Sunday. It was last Sunday.
I mean, normally a source of reduced regen is either if your battery state of charge is really high, but 90 or 80 something percent is not really high for an LFP battery. The other thing will be cold battery temperature, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually cold outside. because what can happen is if you've got your aircon running and it's heating the cabin, it'll actually scavenge heat from the battery. So it'll actually cool the battery down to below ambient temperatures. But if you set it sort of 20 degrees and it's in the afternoon, you'd have sun out, you know, so you'd have solar heating of your cabin. So that's not really that plausible. Look, unfortunately, unless you actually had telemetry from the car to find out, for instance, what the actual battery pack temperature really was, it's a bit hard to say. Look, I guess the other experiment you could do. Sorry, say that again.
Is it worth putting a service thing in?
Oh, look, before you do that, I try something first. So what I try is deliberately have the battery charge closer to say 50%, just to exclude that it might just be normal in that it's a higher state of charge and maybe it's a little bit of a mild day or something like that. And it's done a fair bit of regen initially. So just to eliminate that, because to be honest, there's a lot of things that you may think the car's doing that's strange. Like, for example, we've had a question, I think it was last week, where, you know, someone was asking that they'd recently been on the trip and they parked the car and a few minutes later they heard the fan running quite loudly in the car for a quarter of an hour while the car was parked and no one was in it. And of course, that's perfectly normal. It's a way that the car purges moisture out of the aircon system. So a lot of these things the car does is actually normal. It's just that we don't understand what it's doing, if you know what I mean. So maybe in your case, Shane, if you just do that experiment of deliberately having the car repeat that same route, but have the car say closer to say 50%. Now, obviously, if it does it again, then yes, you should absolutely put in a service request, because in that case, that would be unusual.
Yeah. I've gone down Greenmount Hill a few times and I've not had that. Scott's just said he's had it into J Road. But if it does happen, Shane, and you're going to put in a request, make sure you've got the exact times and the date, because they will then access your car's logs and be able to look at that specific time frame. Rather than, oh, it happened sometime on Sunday. They'll just go, oh, give us a time.
If you hold down the right scroll knob and just say, like, voice control report bug, and it'll save that timestamp.
Right. Okay. Report bug.
Or bug report. Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
And it basically gives a timestamp.
Okay. All right. I'll just keep seeing what it does. Yeah, because we live in a hilly area, so it's like it's up and it's down. But through winter, I thought it was just the cold temperatures, but on that particular Sunday, last Sunday, it was why is it only charging to 87, and then it went, you don't have any more regen.
Just two questions. Have you got your charging set to 100%?
Yeah.
Yep. So if it's set, I think it's just, from what I'm just reading the forums there, because the LFPs don't like to deliver or take in as much charge, it could just be too much charge going in.
It's quite an elevation from the top of Brookton Highway down to where we are. So okay. Okay.
Actually,
all right. No, that's great.
Yeah, that could be right, James. I mean, they're champions. They charge really well. Like, you can put over 20 kilowatts into them at 97%. But then again, 20 kilowatts is not the 50, 60, 70 kilowatts that you can regen or put into them when you are regenerating. So, maybe Tesla's being a little bit over dramatic, saying that regen is reduced. It might only be reduced by a rather small amount, but technically it's reduced, so they do tell you, perhaps. But I think you'll notice that the car sort of performs the same, so that when you see that green icon on the right-hand side of the screen, it's basically saying, like, for instance, if you just took your foot off the pedal, it would come to a complete stop in the same way as it would if it was at full regen.
Yeah. It does. That's exactly what it did. It didn't feel any different. It was just the little symbols on the screen.
Yep. And to be honest, I've seen that symbol on mine. I mean, I've got a different chemistry. I've got a long range Model Y, which is an inferior. Well, it's not inferior. It has a few more nuances when it's at a higher state of charge and also at different temperatures than the LFPs. So the LFP really is the best all-round product you can buy, really, to be honest. It charges really well.
Plug it and forget it.
Yeah, and that's the best. That is the best part. I mean, for example, one thing I had to do was just recently move my car because I only charged it. I was a bit naughty and I charged it to 90% because I'm, still road tripping, even though the car recommends 80. If that was a standard range Y, it would be at 100% all day, every day.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, no, thanks for the info, guys. I'll make a note of that, put it to 50% and see what happens.
Yeah, or just not even put it to 50%, just drive your car around until you get to about 50% and then just repeat the same route and just see if it does the same thing under similar conditions. So don't change your state of charge. Just don't plug in that night or for a couple of days until you've run the car down a little bit lower, just to make sure. And then look, even if it still does it and you put in a service request, Tesla may say, oh, look, if you've done repeated strong regens for a period of time, the car may, as a policy, just decide to reduce it so that, I don't know, so reduce heating, or there's all sorts of effects that can happen. Because you can imagine that strong regen is just like strongly charging the car. And, the car likes to have control of that and do it the way it wants to, as opposed to whatever the terrain dictates.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's great. Awesome. As always, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Cool. Now, I might take this early opportunity, especially for people watching on YouTube, and thank you if you are. Next week, we are not going to have an Ask Us Anything. It's going to be a Wednesday midweek casual meetup. So if anyone can please send your suggestions to the chat in YouTube, or even in the chat here online now, so I can send out an email tomorrow to let everyone know where that casual meetup next Wednesday will be. So if you can please do that, send any suggestions, or you can even speak some out loud now if you like. I mean, last Wednesday, or should I say 2 months ago, we were at the Camfield, and that's a great site. It's always got easy parking. So I guess that could be a default choice in lieu of anything else that comes along that's better. But yeah, if you please put some suggestions in the chat. Cudale Hotel. We've been there. Well, I guess we've also been to the Camfield too. I don't think we've done the Cudale at night, so that's not terrible, Damo. That's not terrible.
How many tires are going to go missing?
You're on mute, Jared.
Well, the
You're
good
on
thing
mute,
is
Jared.
the good thing is, if any tires do go missing, there'll be a whole lot of different Tesla
Sentry
cams
modes,
that are Sentry mode that'll be picking it up in surround vision. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm
Oh,
sure
great.
you'd be welcome at the Walpole Hotel.
Oh, look, sounds awesome, Michelle. That's a little bit closer to me than Perth, so I'd rather that personally.
I think
I don't know. Chuck and I were at the, I think it was the Whaler. Was that where it was, Chuck? Yesterday. I don't know why anyone else didn't turn up, really. Anyway, I guess you're all just a bit lazy, that's all. But,
a little bit too far south the river.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a tad. Just a tad. I don't want to brag, but yeah, yesterday I was 42 degrees and 1 minute south of the equator, and that's as far south on this awesome country that you can possibly go to in a vehicle, a road-going vehicle. But anyway,
went to 43.
43 degrees.
43, yeah.
43 and 1 minute. It
Yeah.
was, and
40,
some number of seconds.
Yeah, 42 is right in the in the middle of the state. They say that's where the back in the early colonies, there was a separate Northern Tasmania and Southern Tasmania colony. That was the boundary. That's where the rivalry. That's where the rivalry started.
Well, my wife actually prefers some goon that's made. It's actually titled 42 South. So I think it's it's some fizzy. I think it's Pinot Noir fizzy goon thing, whatever you call it, technical stuff. But yeah, which we did see at the shops, and yeah, we sort of admired it. But actually, speaking of which, I think, Pete, are you in the house? I can't. Oh, yes, you are. So one thing that Pete and I, on our last lap around Australia, confidently stated was that probably 98% or thereabouts of our lap was wholly undertaken with autopilot. And the only couple of percent, or maybe 3% that wasn't, was when the car would inadvertently pick up an incorrect speed sign or just at random in the middle of nowhere, literally just decide that the speed limit was 50 k's an hour instead of 110. One thing I can confidently, and Chuck, I don't know if you've got much experience of this, but I can confidently state in Tasmania is that I'd be lucky if I've done about 25% of the lap of Tassie on autopilot. And it's because of this thing. So you've got the 100 sign, but you've got a little sub sign underneath that says changing road conditions.
Yep, I knew that was going to be what it was. Yeah.
And unfortunately, what the car has decided to do, I don't think it actually reads the sign. It doesn't actually read the letters, but it detects that there is a sign underneath, and it presumes that sign. Yeah, it ignores it. It basically ignores the entire speed sign because of that writing underneath. I'm almost inclined to get an A3 sheet of paper and just stick it over that changing road conditions sign. But I think that might be a bit naughty.
It's a real pain. The main highway between the main cities, it's all 110, and it doesn't have that changing road conditions sign. But all the little side tourist roads, they all have that when you leave a city. And if you're lucky, you might get map data and might correct it. But most of the time, it stays like that until, I don't know. It's weird because roadwork signs, no problem at all, which is the same as roadwork signs in the rest of the country, I guess.
Yep.
You'll get them down next to the ground, and they'll have the yellow roadwork next to them, and it's no problem recognizing those. But yeah, if it says 100 and changing road conditions, it completely ignores it. And I don't know if that's something we should complain to Tesla about, or the state government, because obviously Tesla won't really care about some weird sign in Tassie, and the state government the state government won't change their signs to suit Tesla's cameras.
I don't think it will be an issue. So when we finally get FSD beta in Australia, and when we finally get version 12, which according to Elon's latest live video feed, we thought Ask Us Anything was pretty amateurish, but Elon takes the cake. He was 10 times worse than even we are. But he did provide some excellent background commentary, mentioning that, I mean, he didn't use these words, but the way I interpret it is basically Tesla has created AI that has taught itself how to drive.
Yeah.
And, numerous times during that broadcast, he said, we're coming up to a stop sign. There is no code that tells the car to stop at a stop sign anymore. In version 12, they've eliminated, was it 3,000 odd lines of...
300,000.
300,000 lines of C++ and a bit of Python that they've completely eliminated, largely eliminated. And the way they've taught the car, taught the AI, was just feed it video or feed it high-quality driving data from other drivers. And I think he was in the Twitter Spaces or X Spaces where he said that he thinks Tesla's got the biggest data set of anyone in the world. And he said orders of magnitude more than large language models. So a large language models is probably referring to ChatGPT, and we know how good ChatGPT is, and he can definitely read and he can interpret very well. So I would say it's just a matter of time before the car can read those signs and interpret.
Right. Just have to hope the FSD code trickles down to autopilot. I guess they're going to go the same code base on both eventually, I guess. Hopefully.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly hope so, because that's something that hasn't happened with FSD beta. It would be lovely, because at the moment we're sitting in our cars and we're watching what it does with autopilot, and to be honest, sometimes it's a little bit ordinary, and it doesn't give you a lot of hope, because when you see the FSD beta videos, they look truly impressive, but you can't even do half those things on autopilot on the same stretch of road. So yeah, it would be lovely if they did actually port that to us with autopilot, at least the basic features. But yeah, no doubt it will come. Even if you don't have FSD, we will all in autopilot land get the benefits eventually.
That would be consistent with, I think, what Elon has said previously, in that, it's too important, or too, it just makes, from a safety perspective, it's too important just to keep to, the people that have got FSD. I think it will be rolled out to autopilot.
Yeah. And just to underline what Pete was saying before about Elon saying about it learning itself, I think he described that, as it slows down for a speed hump, there is no C++ code that says identify speed humps and slow down. It just, in its neural programming and learning, just knows that's what it should do.
It's learned it from all the huge
training
amount of that it has, in that most drivers slow down before a speed hump. So it also slows down before a speed hump.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's impressive. That truly is.
Because I know autopilot, even FSD, the version that we have in Australia, doesn't slow down for speed humps.
Yeah, because that can trickle down to all sorts of situations where you wouldn't really plan for it. Like, there might be in a particular suburb or a small town or whatever, there's one house that always has a dog that runs out the front gate and runs onto the road, and all the drivers in the area might know to slow down past that house. And if it's all Tesla drivers slowing down there all the time, I don't know, it might put two and two together. That's an extreme case.
I don't know if it's that location specific. Yeah. I think it's more
what it sees.
Yeah.
It still has some cases, like
I spent a few days. Spent a few days driving up to Jindalee, the freeway on autopilot, and the freeway's new part north is not in the maps. So as soon as you get to that bit, your autopilot brakes quite aggressively because you think you're heading into the bush. Yeah.
Yes, and that's quite frustrating. And it also, I think it initially wants to go to 50 k's an hour, and then it will go concedes to 90 or 80 or something like that, and then you have to push it back up to 100. Yeah, you did right, James.
I don't know who was more surprised, me or the bunch of tradies in utes traveling 110 around me.
Well,
when I'm driving down here on the country roads using autopilot, my car quite often randomly brakes really aggressively. What's that from?
It can be anything. It can be shadows. Yeah, it can be lots of things, Michelle. It can be shadows. It's not radar anymore, because radar is either been turned off or is not installed in the newer cars. But yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you'll hear it do a warning. It'll do like a forward collision warning, and at the same time as it brakes.
Oh, I haven't noticed that, but bloody does my head in.
Michelle, your car could be possessed.
I'm beginning to think so.
I don't think she is. I've noticed the same thing myself, especially going around a left-hand corner when there's a truck coming the other way, the car thinks you're going to collide with the
Yes.
truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand those ones, and also cars coming from side roads. If there's a truck on a side road, it'll do it. But sometimes this will be just going up a hill.
Yeah, it
Yep.
has like crests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
absolutely.
actually,
Yeah.
that's very true too. So if it does see a crest, it effectively can't see the rest of the road, then it'll sort of panic or hesitate for that moment, and it'll naturally slow down to, I guess, try and get a better view or get more confidence that
Yep.
there's nothing sort of about to come at it.
I
Unfortunately,
think I've got to be used to it, but when I've got passengers in the car, they're just like, "Whoa, what the hell?"
what you can do
Has
is
anyone else dipped headlights? How they go crazy when you're driving along a road with lots of chevrons?
Yeah.
They go up, then they go down, then they go up, then down, because they think the chevrons are an approaching car.
Yeah.
oh, you mean for high
I-
beams?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I think
Oh,
it's-
look, yeah. The high beam system is the automatic high beams is
Shit.
I've
yeah.
turned it off.
Yes, thank you, Paul. You can say what I was thinking. That's right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
suboptimal in polite language. It's very suboptimal. Look, the little bit of hope that we've got is we do know that there are 128 pixels of the high beam, or of, I'm not sure if it's high beams or it's a combination of high and low beams. There's basically an Osram active matrix headlights that can be turned on individually, and there are other makes that do this already. So when they're on high beams, they basically just black out the oncoming car so that everything else is lit up except for the oncoming car's windscreen or the oncoming car. And we know that Tesla has the headlights, we know they have the cameras, and we know they have the neural networks. They literally just have to program them after they've done everything else and turn that feature on. And I think, one day we will wake up with those cars, and I think the auto high beams are going to be literally awesome one day.
The windscreen wipers used to be horrible, and then they ran these, I think they called it deep rain, where they basically applied neural net training to it, and they're much better. They're nowhere near perfect, as you all know, but yeah, they're much better than they used to be. So Tesla's often 2 steps forward, 1 step back when it comes to these sort of things. So I think with both of those, we're probably at that 1 step back stage. But yeah, as Harold said, we'll wake up one day and high beams and windscreen wipers will be perfect.
So Michelle, were these on country roads when these incidents happened?
Yeah.
And were you listening to country radio?
Definitely not.
The ABC wasn't on at the time? 'Cause
No,
there's some
definitely
pretty
not.
Shocking stuff on the ABC in the
Yeah,
country.
no, I would expect it to just run straight into a tree.
Of course, that's what I
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think just exorcism. That's what we can do.
Yeah,
Get a
no
priest
country
over.
music in my car.
Okay.
I tell you what, since I am in Tassie and I am in the country, because almost anywhere in Tassie is the country. One thing, I was whinging about the 110 zone not always activating in the car. One thing for anyone that has driven in Tasmania is literally amazing is I think the person who decided what the speed limit signs should be in almost all of Tasmania was probably the minister assisting the Minister for Transport, and probably just went, oh, look, 110 kilometre an hour signs are cheap, so let's just buy those, because, and this picture is not going to show it justice, but this is basically a hairpin turn. You just can't really see it as that. It doesn't look as good as in real life, but the speed limit before this hairpin turn and for all the other hairpin turns going through the mountains is 110 k's an hour, and you just can't do it. You just cannot. Sorry, 100. No, sorry, apologies. 100, not 110. I was exaggerating. 100 k's an hour, and unless you're in a motorbike or in a performance Tesla, you just can't get to those speeds before you have to regen to the next next hairpin corner. It's amazing.
And if you're having problems in a Tesla, which has got, you know, a low center of gravity, then yeah.
Well, I do have a beloved who's my passenger. So for comfort factor, if I was in Jurgen mode, it's just awesome. And I must admit the performance really accelerates well, and the regen's nice and hard, and you don't have to use brakes, and you can have a lot of fun quite safely. But yeah, it's just out of control.
Mode.
Oh, you can, yeah. And there's another.
About a car or?
Yeah, that's,
I've got a car. Sorry.
I was talking about the car. There's also something else. I've got to get a sign. I'll bring it up a little bit later in the show. That is a bit of a metaphor for Tasmania, and that is the. Oh yes, I'll just bring this one up. But yeah, so it's an amazing state. And yeah, well, Chuck, how do you find it?
Lonely.
Driving around.
Yeah, driving around. You know,
well, that's the thing. Most, you know, all of my driving is, you know, from home to work to the supermarket to pick up the kids, drop off the kids. So it's pretty boring all through the suburbs. But in the rare chances you get to drive those rural routes there, it's a lot more fun.
Well, I got to tell you, I've driven probably 100 Ks on dirt roads, which I never imagined, because when you look on the map and when you navigate, when you use the Tesla nav to go, I don't know, to Cockle Creek, it just goes, yep, it's going to take you this long and it's this many Ks and whatever. And that's awesome until halfway towards it, the bitumen just ends and it's like, oh, maybe WA should have paid some more GST revenue to Tasmania so they could afford to bitumize some of these roads. It's just out of control.
Yeah. No, there's a one of the major highways. Well, officially a major highway. It's an A route, but it was only sealed. It's one sort of through the Central Highlands.
Yep.
It's more of a shortcut than a main highway, but it was only sealed for the first time about 5 years ago. There was a segment that was still unsealed, and so no one used to drive that. But now they're doing heaps of roadworks on the main highway. Everyone's using it. Yeah, everyone's using this one as a shortcut. It's more scenic. It's slightly fewer kilometers, and now it's all sealed. So yeah.
Well,
if you've got your maps satellite view, if you've got your maps in satellite view, does it come up? Can you tell that the bitumen's gone? Or?
It usually gets obliterated by the actual, you know how in satellite mode it's like a hybrid where it has the aerial photos, but it also has a silhouette, or not a silhouette, but a
line for the
a light, a half tone, or a half I forget what you call it, half transparent line of the road, and that often sort of obscures the actual image beneath it, so you can't really tell.
Right.
So this other image that I thought was a great metaphor, which hopefully will be on all roads in the next, say, 10-15 years, is this one. But that is as in caution ICE vehicles on the road. And that sign's all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Because something that and I don't know if I can find it in time, but I did tweet it out, was I caught the Spirit of Tasmania 2 ferry, and the thing that was a little bit annoying was the fact that they actually slapped my car with an EV sticker and put it right at the back of the ferry. And in fact, I was close. It was really weird because I was actually close to where they store all the pets. So there were dogs and whatever, and my car was right near them, which I think Pete, was it Pete or someone else that suggested that might have been as a bit of a buffer zone for all the stinky ice cars. So it was actually to protect the pets from diesel emissions.
Yeah.
But it was sort of a bit weird that I had a Yeah, it had the ice sticker, which I'm just going to try and find on the ferry.
It's ironic the extra precautions that people take with EVs because of the potential of fire when a ice car or a internal combustion engine car is 8 to 10 times more likely to self combust.
Yeah, exactly. And there it is there. It's a proper, oops, sorry, that just disappeared for a second. Sorry, I'll just put that back on. Yes, there it is there. So
Easy.
a very prominent EV sticker.
Wow.
When I did my trip last August, it was just a window marker writing EV on the corner. So they've upgraded to actual labels now. So
they've gone from graffitiing your car to posting a bill on it.
Put a sticker on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get the EV cabin? Did you get the?
That's another thing. We got the double bed. I guess it's the premium cabin, whatever. It's at the sort of top front of the ship, but we're on the port side, the left side. So like the leftmost front cabin on level 7.
Yeah.
And
I think bougie cabin. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it must have been above one of the bow thrusters or something, or whatever. I don't know how these ferries are propelled. I mean, obviously with propellers, but I think there might be some drive units at the front as well as just the back. And it was that noisy that we just couldn't sleep. Like it was super silky smooth. So there was, even though the forecast said 2 meter swell, you just couldn't even feel it. It was really lovely, smooth ride, but super noisy.
They've got so they balance and don't get out of kilter.
Right.
They won't run in the water and they won't pitch nose down. They transfer water underneath the hull with it.
Right. Well, it was just super noisy, so we've actually downgraded our return trip to just one of the bunk bed type or whatever it is, like 2 twin beds, and we just hope that'll be in the middle of the ship, which will be nice and quiet. Of course, we had the obligatory couple of cars. I think it was what's the car you got, Jared? A Raptor? That piece of
no, a Rogue.
Rogue. Sorry, yeah, it was a Rogue. Sorry, yeah, and someone left their car alarm on the Rogue, and it was proceeding to wail itself off, trying to keep everyone awake. So there was a polite PA message asking for the owner of said Rogue to return to their vehicle and shut their alarm up. Which I'm not even sure how you can do that on a Rogue. By the way, for the Tesla, so Chuck, you kindly did say, hey, suss out how to do that before you get on the ferry, so you're not all stressed out trying to work it out. There is actually a minor trick. You go into security and you have to actually turn off sentry mode first. So if you actually see the security tab, there's a switch for it, and it's in blue because it's on, but it's sort of half faint. So it's only half transparent semi-transparent. And that's because you can't turn it off. You can only turn it off once you've disabled sentry mode. And once you've done that, then you can turn off the car alarm. And when you re-enable sentry mode, it automatically re-enables the car alarm. So that's the trick. If you want to hop on a ferry, just turn off sentry mode first and then turn off the car alarm.
Was the restaurant good?
Oh yeah, it was okay. You sort of had, it was like a smorgasbord sort of meal setup where you just basically pay for one plate of whatever you can put on it effectively. So it had various hot and cold food, and I think you got a complimentary soft drink or water from a type thing, but alcohol was extra, so that was okay. Oh, and the big killer was there was no Corona on board, so that was very disappointing. But anyway, that's just my little thing.
Was
but yeah, it was great. TV in the room, yes.
So here you are. You've joined the Tasmania TripAdvisor YouTube for the evening.
Yes, I was going to whip out my my Tasmania road trip slides, because everyone loves a good slideshow, but I thought better of that. So yes, that concludes the road trip portion of this program.
Some of us, none of us are going to sleep in our cars like Pete and James when they go across. Some of us want to get a cabin. So,
Charles is going to be beating himself to death going across Nullarbor, living in his Model 3.
Him and a can of 20. Here they come.
And my plan is to maybe get a motel every 4 or 5 days as a bit of a luxury, but then sleep in the car the other days.
May I suggest that you ask for a chiropractor to attend that said hotel room on those days?
I'll see. Go for a fancy one with a masseuse and everything like that.
Very good.
Yeah, there's plenty of those on the road.
Yes. I don't think you're going to find one of those at Yalalta or at Nullarbor Roadhouse or Kaiguna. But all right. So does anyone go, Chuck?
Oh, I was to say, speaking of sleeping in the car, Pete's fairly experienced with that.
It's done hours and days, months.
I was going to say, has anyone taken the back seat out of their Model 3 to get the seats to fold flat? So I've seen a few videos, but I don't know anyone who's done it.
Doctor's probably done it.
Yeah, Charles, it's a 60-second job.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You just got to be careful when you lift up the seat. Don't just take it all off.
Yeah, there's a couple of connectors.
Wiring, the seat warmers, so make sure you disconnect those first. But in front, in the Model 3, there's a like a lever, whereas the Model Y, you just force it up. There's no lever.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, videos that I saw had different sort of switches under the seats, and I wasn't sure why they were different, and I haven't actually looked at mine to see. But before I do the big trip, might as well take the seat out just so it's all so the whole thing folds flat.
I actually never took my seats out. I purposely had it on that angle, and actually found it worked quite well, and I've never got a sore back or anything. So
that's right.
Yeah, you can maybe just try both ways and see what you prefer.
Next time your wife kicks you out of the house, you can try it.
The best doghouse there is.
Yeah. The 2 times I've done the overnight trips, one of them was at a campground where it turned out I just got a powered site, and turned out the ground was a little bit angled anyway. I'm thinking, I don't know how that would work for someone. You would think of all the things that a powered site needs to be, you would think flat would be one of them. But no, there was a bit of a lean, so it didn't really worry me that time. But I'm guessing there'll be plenty of flat spaces across the Nullarbor. So
definitely.
Yeah, it's rather well known as being extraordinarily flat. It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So has anyone else got any other questions or comments?
A very quick one, if I may.
Yeah, go, Jonathan.
Okay, thanks. Look, as I'm new, how many of you all travel with Type 2 to Type 2 cables in the car when you go anywhere?
Leave home without it.
The reason I ask is going down the Great Eastern Highway, most of the charging points are just a little like a post, and if you don't have your own cable, you can't use them.
Yes.
Yep, and more and more of the AC Type 2 chargers are being installed that way. It obviously helps with being compact, and it also helps with potential vandalism. So for a lot of those AC chargers, including all of the ones on the WAEV network and many of the other new installs, you do need to bring your own 2-to-2 cable.
Okay, do you guys do that, or do you just use the superchargers?
Yeah, I think most of us.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think that's good advice.
So that you can always be charging.
Yeah, all right. Look, thanks for that. I just wanted to double check that I wasn't being silly and wasting money, but no, I think I will grab one of those at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
believe the club has them for sale. Is that right?
No, we've got no stock, but you can get it from Tesla's website. It's just go tesla.com. Just make sure you've selected Australia, and then when you go to the shop, there it's about $310 delivered to your door.
It's the light blue one.
Yeah. I think I've seen them on the site, and I was waiting to see if you guys got them back in stock, but if you haven't got them, I think I'll just go ahead and get it from Tesla.
Harold's been too
Is that
busy.
what they call the Medikeys or something like that?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I think they are the German company that basically initiated what's called the Type 2 connector, the 3-phase AC connector.
Okay. Cool.
Just posting a link. There we go. That one.
Okay. Thanks. Hold on.
Ken, a question for Ken. Does Nova know you've got their headphones?
Mate, I'm enough of a nerd that I 3D printed these myself. So it's.
Oh wow! That's pretty cool.
They're actually totally awesome. I put in a plug, but that's another time. At the risk of talking charging, I note that ChargeFox have added Kings Park WAEV site.
Under construction.
Yeah, but that usually when they do that means they're expecting it to go live pretty soon because Southern Cross, for example, isn't on there and a few others. But so I drove past a couple of times. The paving is in. Everything looks pretty complete. So I'll be stalking that charger over the next few days to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, and good luck with actually using it because I fear that every EQC, iPace, Audi e-tron, and all the other freeloaders will be occupying that site profusely.
Yeah,
but still a great site.
Yep. And in other news, the RT50 EWA appears to be working again, although its comms are still broken, so it's free. So annoyingly, that means
it's popular. Yes.
Yes, that's fine.
Des just posted a question asking about the 32 amp plug.
Yep.
I've just had the single phase 32 amp put in here at home. So is that what other people have at home?
It's a good solution if you've got single phase at home. But if you've got 3-phase at home, it's not a great solution because the UMC doesn't draw 3-phase, but there are other good solutions.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There was also, Harold, scrolling past a question from Rodney about whether it's good to charge at 10 amps and not quite get a full charge back up to 100% or just smash it in at 32 if you're charging overnight.
Tesla doesn't have an opinion on that. It's perfectly okay to charge your car slowly, so 10 amps is perfectly fine. In fact, you can actually set it down to 5 amps if you really wanted to. That's the minimum that you can set your charging to. And you don't necessarily... Sorry, is someone sharing something? Can't see it.
Don't share with naughty people. Don't know who it was.
Anyway.
Jared.
There was someone else's Pete.
Okay, so so there's it's perfectly fine to charge at 10 amps. That's not an issue whatsoever. And you don't have to feel compelled, say if it's a standard range car where Tesla says, charge it up to 100%, you don't have to do that every night or even every week for that matter, really. So if you don't get a complete charge one night or the second night, it doesn't really matter. And if you get it once a week, that's perfectly fine. If that's the way you want to roll, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But also on the other hand, feel free to charge your car fully at 32 amps single phase. So that's 7 kilowatts. That's perfectly okay as well. Or if you've got a 3-phase house and you can charge at 11 kilowatts, so 16 amps 3-phase, again that's perfectly okay. The car is in control and it'll absorb what it wants to. But don't feel shy about dribbling 10 amps. So go, Pete.
That was me.
Sorry, Ken. Sorry, go, Ken.
All I was going to say was the third option, of course, is to use the 32 amp tail, but actually roll it back a little bit, so you're getting say 20 or If you want to get it back up to 100, and 10 isn't going to cover it, you can certainly adjust that in the car, and it will remember the setting at the location.
Yes, absolutely. And James, you've got your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, if you could just put my photo up, that's what I did for sleeping, just to make it a little bit better for me.
Oh yes, I'm just bringing that up now. This is the first photo. Oh no,
I think it's later on.
Photo. Sorry, yeah.
You both photos side by side.
Can you see that? Yep, everyone can see that. Hopefully.
So, because I'm a bit taller, both seats forward, there's that gap between the folded down seat and the front seat. So that's just a piece of plywood with some auto carpet and edge around it. It sits on the top of the headrests and on top of the middle back of the console. And so that makes it really comfortable. So it's a slight lean, but which is actually really good for people sleeping. And you've got all the space underneath to fit all your stuff when you're in the back.
How does it stop from teetering left to right, James?
Yeah, it does, because the headrests on the car at the back, it would. If you put your pressure right on the three corners, it will teeter. But
right.
I'm sleeping in there alone, so I'm in the middle.
Oh,
it's fairly solid.
Yes, gotcha. Yep.
You just have to put a carton of VB under each edge.
Yes.
Funny, because that's interesting that you say that, James, because Pete does similar thing to that, but he rents that bit out, Airbnb. That little bit.
Yes, you could. In Hong Kong, that would be somebody's apartment.
Actually, I've got a very, you're right. I've got a very similar contraption. It has some Velcro or just some tape, I suppose, that goes around the headrests. And it also has the side bits, because you'll find if you've got your phone or what have you there, it'll fall down the side. So yeah, mine's got sort of sides to prevent anything from falling. Yeah, and then it's got Velcro on the underneath side, which you can put on top of the seats, the folded down seats, so it doesn't move around at all.
Yeah, because it wedges in. But the most important thing, that little, the stuff you put in for drawers for non-slip.
Oh yeah,
little stuff you're going to roll. It's like little lumpy stuff. You use it for sanding. Cut yourself a piece that's about, no, it's not in that photograph. Cut yourself a piece about 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. It sits on top of the center console at the front, and you can put your little bowl of fruit, your little bowl of nuts, and it works out really well. Doesn't rattle off and slide off round corners.
Welcome to accommodations.
Best invention ever. For
what a hot weekend.
Well, actually, James,
corner, your burger rings don't slide off.
Well, the best invention is, or the best engineering solution is, well, best part is no part at all. And I learned that with, you were saying about, you could imagine putting a bowl of something on the center console so it doesn't roll off. Well, if you want to have breakfast road trip style, you just get a packet of Weet-Bix, and then you get the said, and you get one of those Tetra Packs of UHT milk, and you plunge the straw into the said Tetra Pak, and then you bite about a third of your Weet-Bix over the packet between your legs, and then you suck on the straw a requisite amount of milk, and then just chew and swallow, and then rinse and repeat, and then you'll find that there's no bowl, no cleanup, no spillage. It's perfect. So anyway, alrighty. Has anyone else got any other questions or comments?
As far as mattresses go.
Yeah, go John.
Yep.
There are special memory foam mattresses. The MK Camp mattress has got tabs, straps on the front that wrap around the front headrest of the seats, which hold the mattress up at that end. So for the Model Y specifically, and that supports the mattress, so you don't even need anything.
Yeah, and the one I've got, and I think Pete's got a similar one. It's got like a bit of thin. No, it's not MDF. It's like a bit of thin plywood you actually got to be a bit careful, because if you're not, you can actually snap it inadvertently when you're sort of packing it away. But it kind of cantilevers off, so it relies on you laying, say, your shoulder on the part that's above the lay down seat, and then where your head is, that cantilevers off, so it's sort of self-supporting by your own body weight. But yeah, similar idea, John, that you basically have a stiffening board that accommodates that gap.
Yeah, mine hasn't got a stiffening board. It's got 3 hang-off points on either pillow that go on either seat, so it supports it.
Oh, right, cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Which mattress is that you've got?
That's the MK DuPont memory foam mattress. You know, that you just put a little bit of air in, it expands itself. It's brilliant.
Okay.
They do tents as well. I've got a tent that hooks on the back, and they sell that product as well, the actual Model Y mattress.
Interesting.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. Alrighty. Anyone else got any other?
And it rolls up. The mattress rolls up and it goes in the front or trunk.
Yeah, that's really cool. They're super useful. I dragged one on my previous trip, but fortunately never had to use it. But it was always good to know it was there, that you know, just in case. And I mean, Pete, I guess you never really rolled yours up. It was always there.
It was very handy. I had a few naps during midday charging sessions. It was great. Bit noisy, but it was good.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. It's good in winter. It keeps the car nice and toasty warm.
Oh, it's a good noise. It's when you didn't get the noise that you're stressed, not the other way around.
Yes, I must admit, wherever you're charging, this is just general advice. Note to self: if you're at not a supercharger, when you plug in or after you've plugged in, you do have to actually either badge a card or your credit card, or do something on an app to actually start charging. Don't just walk away, because you might find that when you return, the car hadn't actually started charging yet. So that's a little tip for anyone that charges on a non-supercharger. Just
don't walk away until you can see the Tesla logo flash green.
Yep. Absolutely. Alrighty.
And enable phone app to have charging in enable your phone app to have charging interrupted notifications.
Oh yes.
So that you can stop charging. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, I actually met a gentleman in Merredin whose wife has a Model 3, I think it was, and a Tesla owner got a bit upset because there was at Merredin you've got 2 destination chargers, and one was occupied by someone passing through and they were charging actively, but the other one was occupied by a Model 3 that was had a local number plate, and it had finished charging. So this other gentleman that turned up was rightly a little bit indignant and wrote a direct but polite note that said, please don't do this, because it's not cool to be a local and to be plugged in but not charging. And what this gentleman said was that his wife's car had told him that it would be 4 hours before it was going to finish charging. So he sort of set a timer on his phone and returned to the car. Well, he intended to return at the 4-hour mark. But of course, the car was pessimistic on its charging time, had finished charging sooner, and he didn't know because he didn't have charging completed as a notification on his phone, Tesla app. So
how do you do that?
Oh, sorry. So then you go into profile and notifications. Let me just bring that up. So you've got to go into settings. Okay. I'll just highlight myself, spotlight. So you go into the bottom, which is middle one, which is settings, just there, and you press on settings, and you've got vehicle notifications. Oh, sorry about it being blurry, but you've got charging started, charging interrupted, and charging complete. So I haven't obviously bothered with the charging started. I've left that off. But charging interrupted and charging complete is really useful to have as a notification, so that, especially if you're on a slow charger, which is really important that you're always charging, you do want to know when it's either finished or it's interrupted. So yesterday, for example, I was having breakfast and I plugged into a Tritium RT50, and it was a location where you actually, the charging is free, but you've got to pay a separate tariff for the charging for the parking spot, and that tariff is $21.60, I think it was, per hour. So I paid for half an hour of parking and obviously charging, and about halfway through I got a notification that charging was interrupted, and the Tritium went out on an error 50, which I haven't got the error code book handy, but for whatever reason it tripped out. So now I had to run back to restart it. But obviously if I didn't have that notification on, I would never have known, and I would have gotten back to my car with half as much charge as I would have expected. So yeah, just go into your profile, which is where your sort of icon is, or your avatar is, where your name or your account, and just go into notifications.
Speaking of apps and phones.
Yes,
remember
Richard.
last time I wanted to buy something from referral credits.
Oh, yes.
But I only had the American sites that I could go to. So I rang Tesla, and then I rang them again, and then they put me through to someone else and put me through to someone else. And this young guy said, look, leave it with me. Yeah, we have to do it at the back end. And he said, I'll ring you about 6 o'clock and we'll go through it together. That's on Friday. So I didn't get the call, but yesterday I thought, oh, I'll ring him again. So I rang him again. So I haven't heard back, And then when I went to the app, they'd done it. So it all works. I can get.
Oh, so they fixed it.
Stuff. So they must have, but they never told me. So that was nice. So I'll give Tesla a tick for that one, because they just did it. It's great.
Good. It's great.
There you go.
Very good. It just goes to show. And you just rang the service number, Richard.
Yeah, I had to work around, press 4, press 2, and then they sent me, oh, look, I'll put you through to someone else. And it took a while, but that was all right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's good talking to someone. And yeah, I get 10,000 more tomorrow, because a friend of mine's picking up his Model Y tomorrow morning. He's very
cool.
excited. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Scanned on, don't they? All these old people.
Fantastic. If you lived in America and you had 2 more referrals, you'd be able to get a Cybertruck invitation.
Shotgun rack. Yeah.
Did you see the article someone posted about the rate of battery degradation on supercharging versus never supercharging? I saw it today, and it was virtually identical. They said, "Don't worry about it." So
yeah, right. That's interesting.
Were virtually identical to people who had never supercharged and people who only supercharged, and after 1,000 cycles, whatever, it had gone down 11% or something on both of them, and the curve was virtually identical. And they had thousands of hours to it. So it's going to do what it does. So just do what you need to do, basically. That's not saying fully, if you haven't got LFPs, don't charge 100%, don't drain them fully, but if you're going to charge however you like, fast or slow as you like, and it won't make any difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, one group charged at least 90% of the time, fast charged, and the other group fast charged less than 10%, or slow charge 90% of the time. And they said there was no statistically significant difference in the degradation of the battery. So, and that was across 12,500 cars. So, statistically, yeah, very significant.
Oh, there you go. John, I've noticed you're not wearing your onesie tonight. Are you on the love boat?
Up in the Kimberleys again, Jared. So away from home.
That's right. Cool.
Yeah.
Of course.
I've got enough on.
Well, incidentally, what's the weather been like in Perth? I believe it's been fairly mild, quite warm.
Been good.
Yes.
30 tomorrow.
30.
Yep.
28.
Wow.
And then the next day is raining and crappy, with a bit of crappy coming through in the afternoon, followed by a bit of shitty during the night.
Last day of winter, it's going to be 30 degrees.
Yeah, that's
right. Roll on summer. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, here it's only been like, I don't know, between 10 and 5 or something like that, 15 to 5. But anyway.
Are you finding it cold at night, Harold, when you're sleeping in your car?
Well, it's going to be cold when I get out to my car after this and turn off camp mode, because one problem with camp mode is, one good thing is it keeps all the accessories on, because touch wood, it's kept it on this long, so it must be working. But it also does not lock. Oh, no, I think I'm a bit concerned about locking the car, because if I lock it, then it might actually turn the accessories off. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be cold when I get out. I don't know. I don't know what its effect is on the accessories though. Whether camp mode persists after you. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I mean, if you're out in the bloody bush, you'd want to lock it. If you're in the middle of where people do horrible things to each other.
Put on dog mode.
Seems a bit
Yeah.
crazy.
As long as you've got your dueling banjo.
Yeah, that's the one.
They tested a group of people that slept in their car and that didn't sleep in their car, and the group of people that slept in their car went crazy and shot themselves. Where the other group they're all fine. So,
do you want to borrow my car, Jared, or what?
I know one thing, that when I travel and I travel in my car and I get out of it, I'm going to use this. You want to zoom on in that? It's called a room key. It's amazing because you have your fruit bowl right next to you, and you have your television right there. And the shower is just over there. It's totally different to sleeping in the car, but we'll educate you on that one next week. Thanks.
Hey, Jared, that's I can't pick it up, but that's my room key.
Yeah.
Put
You can't.
it in front of your face. It'll work.
Transparent, brother.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, well, it's like one of these. Yes. Dearie me. It's all good. Alrighty. I might, for this part of the recorded part, might start winding it up. But of course, everyone who's participating live is more than welcome to rock on. But yeah, Chuck and I are ahead in the future, and yeah, well, I can't speak for Chuck, but I certainly know I'm pretty tired. But we'll go through just a couple of last questions or whatever. Any comments? I mean, the news is great for Cybertruck. It's obviously, there are more and more being built. I think they've set up to more than 100 so far that are the proper versions. Elon Musk did tweet out that he actually drove I think he called it the release. No, the production candidate or something like that. Production car.
Candidate.
Yeah, production candidate. So that's looking great. Clearly, there's going to be a delivery event in the next month or two, probably, which is pretty awesome.
They'll be wrapped to get them.
Yes, and obviously one thing we're looking forward to. Well, actually, we don't really need to so much, but it'll be super interesting to see Munro and Associates procure one and obviously proceed to tear it down, because that's always interesting to see what's inside these things.
I saw someone today, they're talking about wraps for Cybertrucks, and some people have got clear and rusty wraps, so it looks all rusty and horrible and old.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, cool.
Or maybe you could just drive it on a really dirty road or something, and then once it dries, then just put a clear coat over that, and just keep it in that state.
One thing with the stainless steel, it's going to be quite prone to fingerprint marks.
Yep.
And it's going to get pretty hot in summer. It shouldn't be sort of burning hot, but it will be pretty hot.
Yeah, because you've got no insulation. Your hand is basically touching the bare metal as opposed to any layer of paint over it. But if you put a wrap on it, and I think one good thing that Tesla is doing with these weird wraps with the F-150 and what was the VW Tundra? I think was it Tundra, something like
Toyota.
Toyota, sorry. The good thing is, it's giving people ideas that it basically tells them there is no limit to how you can customize the appearance of these cars, and it's super easy because they're very flat sort of surfaces and simple surfaces, so it'll be super easy to wrap in anything you want. So
I reckon there's going to be a battle out there for a few months. So who could be the most radical? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just going to love the stainless steel because there's no real maintenance with it. Just a bit of soap and, wipe down the fingerprints, wipe down the dirt. And you can leave it out in the sun and it's going to last, 30 years from now, it will look the same as it will on day one.
So those bullet marks, do they rub off or what?
Yeah, they buff out.
Yes, on the windows, not so much, but yeah. It's going to be awesome. I just wish they'd hurry up.
Are the windows still bulletproof, or they've given up on that?
No, they threw a ball in it, like on the demo that broke the window, but bounced off the other day.
Yeah,
So they must be pretty good.
Yeah, they're not.
Oh, they've done it again. Not when they done the
They're,
So have they done it again? Have they threw a ball at it?
they did, yeah.
Yeah, right. I didn't see that. I've been
It just bounces off the window.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You're right.
And they're testing it now in Crompton on Friday and Saturday nights. It's a very quiet neighbourhood around there for gunshots. So.
Hey, quick question. Do we know whether there's any hardware for Model Ys being produced in Shanghai as yet?
No, not at all. Not at all. So, I mean, I would have thought perhaps, I would have thought perhaps with the Highland coming out, and I mean, it's no secret that they are producing Highland vehicles, and they will be the next batch of Model 3s coming out, of Shanghai next month will be Highland. It makes a lot of sense for them to transition to hardware 4 then, because because it makes the transition simpler because the plumbing is different. I don't know if it's Elon Musk tweeted out that there is a difference between the water cooling going into a hardware 4 FSD computer compared to the hardware 3 one, which means they're not really backwards compatible.
Oh, totally different computers. They're totally different.
Yeah, and the plumbing into them is different, so that they're mounted differently to the bulkhead. So you can't really retrofit a hardware 4 computer to a hardware 3 car. So Highland, I dare say, is an ideal opportunity, Pete. But I think your question was about Model Y, and the thing is, the Highland is actually the Model 3 redevelopment project code name, and the Model Y one is Project Juniper. Yeah, so I don't know about Model Y, and there's been no sightings of a facelifted or altered Model Y, so I don't know.
Yeah, but Texas and Berlin are now producing, standard Model Ys that look like just old
Yep.
ones, but with hardware 4. And interestingly, it's got only 128 gigabytes of storage rather than 256, and 4 megs of RAM rather than 8.
I think that's those metrics are referring to the MCU part, because now the media control unit, the touchscreen, is actually controlled via, it's not the full self-driving computer, but it's the same box. So they've incorporated the full self-driving computer and the media control unit all in the one basic container, even though the subsystems inside are still separate, but they're all combined in the one box. But I don't know whether that's the case on the hardware 3 cars in the current Model Ys and 3s, whether they have the media control unit in that FSD computer as well, or in the case inside it. I just don't know. I do know, for example, with the S and X's, they're completely separate. The autopilot computer is its own self-contained unit and does nothing but that, and then it's has a separate connection to the media control unit, which does your touch screens or touch screens in the S and the X.
It's a refresh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even the ordinary old S and X, when you had your MCU upgrade, it was separate. There were actually 2 computers, and then they sort of combine it into the one computer that does both screens. But the FSD computer or the autopilot computer is a separate box, completely separate. But then it only has air cooling. It doesn't have liquid cooling like the Model 3s and Ys. So, yeah, good question, Pete. Some people might want to delay their purchase in anticipation of getting hardware 4. But then Elon Musk did quite sagely warn that it was a little bit like when I first got my Model X and it had hardware 2. I think it was called hardware 2 because it had Tesla's own hardware and not Mobileye's hardware. And at the time, my car could do much, much less than an older Model S because Tesla was just learning how to program it. And Elon Musk did warn that the development for FSD beta or even autopilot would be lagging by about 6 months for the newer hardware 4 cars than the current hardware 3 ones, because he said it was super important to get all the hardware 3 cars up and running properly with FSD beta, and that it's a different stack, it's different capabilities, and they would focus on that first. So that means if you were, I guess, fortunate enough, if you call it that, to get hardware 4, initially it might be a little bit frustrating because you'll have less features and you'll probably be about 6 months behind.
But initially it was misinterpreted as FSD beta not coming to hardware 4 for another 6 months, but that came out today or yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the performance of the actual FSD beta rather than
yes,
the presence of it.
That's right, and they're focusing on perfecting it in the hardware 3 cars first, and then moving on to perfecting it in the hardware 4 cars. And I presume that the point there is the hardware is sufficiently different that you can't just have the same identical code running on the 2 platforms. It's a sufficiently different platform that it has to be customized.
Yeah, Elon said on that live feed that the inputs coming from hardware 4 are quite different from the hardware 3 inputs. So they've got to relearn or reteach, the AI.
Yeah, well, if you see some of the... Yep, well, you see some of the Wham Bam Tesla Cam footage of the, I don't know if they're 4K cameras, but they're much higher resolution and nicer color rendition as well. So yeah, it's a totally different source.
Yeah, no more burnt orange.
No more burnt orange. That's exactly right. Like Damon's Model X, although it actually is burnt orange. and doesn't just look it. But be that as it may. Alrighty.
One last
go,
question.
Pete.
I can
Yep.
squeeze one in.
Jesus Christ.
10 hours later.
Is it from the Bible, Pete? Are we going to go straight from the Bible?
In the beginning.
I think the sun. I think the sun might be rising in the east over the hills of Strawn. No, go, Pete, go.
This will be a very quick one.
It's totally cool.
10 minutes.
Yes or no? The 749 Teslas that came on the last shipment to Perth, do we know the 3 and Y split on those numbers?
No.
Do we have a photo of the whole lot? An aerial shot of the whole lot?
We should know that.
No, so that aerial shot I took at dusk on the Saturday, the 19th of August.
And you left the next morning.
And I left the next morning at 4 a.m. So there was just no chance of taking another shot, a photo, unfortunately, because you can't. I would have gone there at 3 a.m. to take the photo, but you just can't operate a drone at night in Australia, unfortunately. So I just wasn't able to do it.
Well, you can, but
we get in trouble, and especially when it gets 500,000 viewers to see it. and I note that Teslarati reposted that same image when Jim Chalmers actually commented about a section of the intergenerational report that basically highlighted that the federal government's percentage of fuel tax excise as a portion of GDP was going to go down dramatically over the next 30 years and be well below 1% or below a third of what it currently is. And I think it's already reduced.
More like over the next 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, true. Precisely. But I guess they're probably thinking they're being pessimistic, but as we all know, they'll be well off the ballpark because the S-curve of adoption is just going to obliterate ICE vehicles and people are just going to stop using them, except for a Sunday drive or something quaint like that. But Teslarati used that image. And I do note as well when they had an article about the superchargers opening up in Australia to non-Tesla EVs, they also reused our tweet, the club's tweet, basically giving information about the cost. So, the 78 cents for casual users and the 63 cents if you've got a $10 monthly subscription. So that's nice that the club gets a little bit of recognition in the greater Tesla sphere, I guess. But
it's brilliant. Yeah, 500,000 views. It was actually about 550,000. I think it was quite a lot. Probably closer to about 600,000 views now. So,
right.
Brilliant,
there you go.
Brilliant post.
There you go.
Well done, Harold. Well done.
Well done, Harold.
Alrighty. So, any last ones before I get Pete to customarily? Oh, and by the way, sorry. Obviously on YouTube, I'll stop recording and all that sort of stuff. But anyone who is there live in Perth and it's only 9:30, feel free to obviously rock on. I'll pass the baton on to Pete, but I will stop the recording once we've done the outro. So anyone in YouTube, apologies, it's a bit of a short show, but it's a little bit late. And I'm kind of on holidays, but it's still all good fun.
I did want to say one thing before we go, Harold.
Yes.
This is James here.
Yes, James, go.
I don't know if you guys have mentioned this earlier in the program. I've just tuned in, but the recent V12 live stream from Elon Musk the other day, that was a great validation to everyone who owns a Hardware 3 vehicle. And I think he's just shown that you don't need Hardware 4, you don't need higher resolution cameras to get to the full self-driving dream that he's been working towards. And it's coming. It's just a matter of perfecting that version 12. And I think actually Hardware 4 is going to lag behind for a long time because they don't have enough Hardware 4 in the fleet to get the perfect training data that they can
Yep.
from the Hardware 3 fleet. I'm assuming all of the test drivers that they've hired around Australia and all around the world, I assume they're all driving on Hardware 4 to train the system.
Oh, that's a good question. I personally doubt it. I think they'd be training on Hardware 3 because, for instance, it's no secret that that Tesla's hired people in Perth to do local testing. And even though the ads never stated that it was for the purpose of FSD beta or, hardware, version 12 testing, Elon Musk actually said that in his live tweet, his live stream. I'm pretty sure that's right, isn't it, Pete? That he actually stated
He mentioned that he's got drivers, that they've got test drivers out there on the road right now.
Yes.
So I assume he was referring to those people that they've hired all around the world, including in
Exactly.
And he called,
Yes.
and he called out New Zealand frustratingly twice, but yeah, Australia never got a mention. But
No, he did Japan and New Zealand.
I think he just mentioned New Zealand just to illustrate how far-reaching it was. So I think you just assume that
I think he
Australia's
doesn't like Australia. But he's
Well, and the thing is, I personally know of someone that has a job doing that thing, driving. So I know someone who was a successful candidate.
right.
They're obviously
Did Tesla provide the car?
Oh, I haven't spoken to them, and to be honest, I'm not going to ask them. Oh no, well of course it would. It's not. You don't use your own car. This person doesn't have a Tesla, so you use the company car. Clearly, and we do know from the job advertisement that it's rolling 3 shifts that overlap. So
9 hours.
They're 9-hour shifts. There's 3 9-hour shifts that effectively overlap by an hour, I guess. So there's like a handover period, and that's all on the official record. But this person that has a job, I will make as a personal policy not to ask them anything about it, because no one's job is worth a scoop, So it's great that there are people in Perth that will be undertaking the testing. It literally means that it will be tested to local conditions. But like I said, as far as what the details of that is, unless that comes out, officially with Elon Musk or Tesla themselves bringing out videos or whatever, then that's all that will be spoken about it, because that's the right thing to do. But just hurry up and give it to us.
That just shows that definitely the localization is there, and whether it's Hardware 3 or 4, it's coming to Australia, and it's coming pretty damn soon, I'd say.
Yeah. And I just hope that they run some of this stuff in shadow mode in all our cars and let our cars collect the data that they need,
Is that opt-in, the data sharing?
It is.
Oh yes.
I don't own a Tesla myself, but
yes. So it's absolutely. In fact, it's opt-in by necessity. So when you get your car, all of those settings for data sharing is turned off. And I think sort of somewhat frustratingly, I think when you first get your car, there should be the first thing you see on the screen should be, hey, would you like to share data and whatever? But you have to actually actively seek it out. So it's under safety and security, I think it is. And or when you when you select autopilot, I think that it might be there as well. And they've made it a bit simpler. They've broken it up into quite a few sections, which is a bit complicated, but there is one button you can press that just says select all and or approve all, and then you can just share data. And the fact is, in spite of the fact that we've heard, stories of Tesla employees showing some interesting videos of, I don't know, whatever, some cat running across a bonnet or I don't know, some weird stuff. All of the data is de-identified. So no one can actually put your name as the owner to any footage that might be uploaded to their central computer or central cloud storage. And, as you see in many presentations, they want to see all of the stuff the real world sees. So you see cars in the air, trailers bouncing around. It was like a Winnebago that had a a couple of push bikes on the back, suspended in the air, so that the cars can, well, the training software can get all that different training data, so that the neural networks can work out what's going on.
All the edge
Yeah,
cases.
and that's what they described. That's what Elon Musk described, is that all of the data labeling, which has actually become mostly automated, fetching the exact clip that they need from the fleet to train and curate the data. All of that is totally hand coded before it goes in and feeds the neural net, which learns off that data.
Yeah.
And so when it comes out to Australia and we have FSD here and we're all feeding our clips in and running in shadow mode, it's going to be, it just shows that just massive validation for hardware 3 vehicles.
Yes.
Hardware 4 was not needed. And in fact, I've seen the footage from the hardware 4 cameras. I know it's a little bit clearer for our eyes, but for the computer, for the AI, hardware 4 has negligible benefits over hardware 3.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing you can see. There's nothing you can see in that little camera feed when you compare them side by side, as you can see those clips on X. There's nothing in there that the AI needs from hardware 4 that hardware 3 doesn't have.
No, and it's probably more an evolution of the cameras. It sort of gets to the point where the lower resolution or inferior cameras actually become more expensive to buy because they're on lower density chip die scales and all that sort of stuff. So you don't always buy a high resolution camera per se because it performs better. You buy them because that's what's hot at the moment, and that's what's cheaper to make because it's in more mass production. And you're right, James. It's not all about resolution per se and what it looks like to us, even though it's pleasing to us. Elon Musk has previously said that the hardware actually counts photons effectively. It doesn't, and that's where they're talking about whether it's colors or rendition. It doesn't actually matter. The neural network is literally looking at each pixel, or however it does it, as the individual pixel count, not how pretty it looks.
Exactly. As long as it can make out what a road is and what a hard object that you shouldn't drive into is, which is more than capable of making that out in the hardware 3 cameras. That's what matters. The drivable space.
Do you hear any click sound from the
sorry, Richard, I just got to try and mute you. Sorry.
He's on.
Yeah. No, it's
he's not listening.
One difference between hardware 3 and hardware 4, a essential difference,
is one
number. Got it.
Hardware 4 is going to have high resolution radar.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
And
yep.
Hardware 4 is going to have a cigarette lighter, so you can take up smoke.
No.
Well, hopefully some massage seats. That'll be great.
Yeah. Little girls under the seat. That would be the best ever. Like little ting tong whack a dang dang under the AR seat. Yeah, that'd be the.
Oh, I was just thinking of back massage, but yeah.
Yes, well, same as what I'm thinking.
Hey guys, we better let Harold go. He's
we better. Well, because we start talking about number 4 and number 3, we put them together. We got 7. It's all
That's
over.
7.
It's a big long night.
Absolutely. All right. So, like I said, everyone who's live, please do rock on. But we'll just do the outro for everyone, and thank you for everyone on YouTube who is watching. Please do like and subscribe. Not to subscribe.
Harold, do you have to,
yes.
Do you have to play that?
Yeah, like, subscribe.
Disclaimer before you go, because I was going to mention share prices coming back strong.
Yeah. One other thing is.
Oh yeah. Well, not if we're not recording it, Damo. You can go for it when it's you're all clear when we're not recording.
Harold, catch up
yes.
Next week is looking like the Qdale Hotel.
Look, I'll see what else comes in. Yeah, look,
one in morning.
It probably works for me because it's going to be easy for me to bash out the email because I've already got the saved image of the Qdale Hotel. So
Just do it, Harold. Just do it.
it's probably pretty likely that it will be the Kewdale Hotel for next Wednesday, starting at 6:30 p.m. And then there'll just be one more Ask Us Anything on the road, clearly via Starlink, because our certain national telco is absolutely completely useless. And Starlink's been really good, touch wood, strapped underneath the roof of my Model Y at the back car park. But yes, so let's just do the Kewdale Hotel next Wednesday.
Okay.
But then the week after that, there'll be one last Ask Us Anything on the road, and then fingers crossed it'll be a studio version the week after that. I think it's the 20th of September or so. Alrighty, so Pete, how would you take out an awesome show like this?
First, well done again, Harold, and well done, Starlink. Great job. As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Have a great week. Have a great casual meetup next week, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Look after yourselves. Good night.
Enjoy
Thanks,
your trip.
Harold.
Thanks, Harold.
See you, Harold.
See you, buddy.